All right, so far in this section, we have reviewed a little bit about how to graph lines, and we also reviewed last time a couple different ways to find the equation of a line. We're going to do that again, find the equation of a line using some function notation, but we're going to also incorporate a couple of our key ideas here about parallel and perpendicular lines. So we should also recall that two lines are parallel. Of course, that means they run side by side and never cross if their slopes at M are equal. So if their slopes are equal, they're parallel. Two lines are perpendicular, meaning they intersect at a right angle, which you kind of see indicated in that picture there. If their slopes are, and there's two things that have to be satisfied. If their slopes are opposites, and so when we say opposites, we really mean that one is positive and one is negative. So opposite signs, if they're opposites, and if they are reciprocals. So remember, that's where you switch the numerator and denominator, or flip the fraction, for lack of a better word. All right, let's look at an example. So we are going to find the linear function. So remember, we talked about the last video, that just means find the equation of a line. So find the linear function, this time I'll say specifically g of x, where g of 1 is equal to 5 and g of x is perpendicular, so perpendicular to f of x equal to, which is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 4. All right, so to find a linear equation, which is really what a linear function is, we need two things. We need a slope, which we don't yet have, and a point. A point we have. So we know 1, 5, we know that's on G, but we need the slope. So in this situation, our line is supposed to be perpendicular to this line. So this is telling us, it's in y equals mx plus b, that the slope, I'll say with a little subscript of f, meaning the slope of f here, this slope is negative 1/3. I want my slope of g of x, so the slope, and I'll say with a little subscript of g, my slope is supposed to be perpendicular to that line, to the slope of negative 1/3. So my line is going to need to be both the opposite sign, so if that slope is negative, mine needs to be positive, and the reciprocal, which in this case of 1/3 would be 3/1. So the slope that I need to use needs to be 3. Now, I have a point on my line, so we know that 1, 5 is our point because we are told that g of 1 is equal to 5. So again, it's up to you, either the point slope formula or that find the b method. So if you're using your point slope formula, that's the one that looks like y minus the y1, so the y coordinate of your ordered pair, which is 5, is equal to, and then your slope in this case of 3 times the quantity of x minus, and then your x1, the x coordinate of that ordered pair that's on the line. And so, distributing through the 3, we would have 3x minus 3, and then our last step here is we would add 5 to both sides, and then we want to make sure that we go back to, this was find a linear function g of x. So we want to replace y with g of x equals 3x plus 2. And again, it's fine if you use that find the b method. I showed that at the beginning of the last video. I showed both if you prefer that. All right, so that is a little application there involving parallel and, in this case, perpendicular.